everybody. Welcome to day one of our Secrets of a Championship Program Bootcamp. I am Bree, if I have not met you. I'm the co-founder of the Elite Competitor. I am also a head volleyball coach. I've been coaching for 14 years. I'm here in Washington State. If you have ever been frustrated as a coach with the lack of chemistry on your team, or you feel like you have a bunch of individuals that don't seem to gel, or you're just kind of hoping that chemistry just naturally happens throughout the season, then today is for you. We're going to be breaking down the chemistry code because chemistry on your team should not be a guessing game. We're going to talk about why it's probably not happening organically right now, the key to quote chemistry, like how to get these pieces working together. And we're going to go over the open circle formula. This is a very simple thing that you can actually be adding into your program to help generate this chemistry that we're all looking for. So let's get into it. I am curious though, as you're introducing yourself in the chat, what chemistry issues are happening on your team right now? Like what's going on? What do you typically see in your team? Is it like they're just not gelling? They're friends maybe off the court, but not on the court. We've got big personalities. That was my team for the past several years. We just had big polarizing personalities. And we had a hard time kind of accepting some of those personalities and figuring out how to work together. Yeah, cliques are a problem. I love that. Entitlement, a lot of alphas. I hear that. Friend groups of 2 and 3. Yeah, a lot of cliques, or a lot of cliques for sure. Okay, individualism. Nice. Yeah, lack of communication. All of these things are impacting the chemistry or the lack of chemistry that you're seeing on your team right now. Yeah, lack of motivation. Keep those coming in. Those are great. Lack of peer leadership. Oh my gosh, yeah, we're going to dive into peer leadership really on day 3 as well. Okay, we're going to go over a little bit why you're here in the first place. We talked about this a little bit yesterday if you were at our pre-party, but there are some things that I know about you because I am you. I am in the trenches with you. I am a coach. I am not one of those, I was teaching for a lot of years and I would always get frustrated when we would have people come in to our trainings and they teach us all these teaching and pedagogy things. And I'm like, when was the last time you were actually in the classroom? And, they're like, well, it's been a decade or more. And I'm like, kids these days are different. Like what you're talking about, are you actually doing this? I'm actually in it with you. So I get it. I am stumbling along as well, figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And the reason why you're here is because I know that you care about more than wins. You wouldn't be here if you weren't, okay? You care about the athlete beyond that. So I assume that about you, that you are one of these transformational coaches, not transactional coaches, and you care about your athlete, you care about their experience in your program. So if that's you, you're in the right place. But here's the catch. You also care about winning, okay? I do too. You'd also know though, that it's the byproduct of doing the things the right way. Winning doesn't just happen, right? It is fueled by your culture, by your leadership, by the mental training, all of those things, and setting them up in the right way fuels winning. Okay. So yes, we're competitive here. A lot of us, I played my sport in college. I'm sure a lot of you did too. So yeah, we're competitive and we care about winning as well, but we know we've got to have some things in place in order for that to happen. And here's the other thing I assume about you. You're already coaching the X's and the O's, but there's a missing piece beyond the drills and beyond the strategy. When I became a coach 14 years ago, first of all, who let me be a coach at 21 years old, a head coach taking over a program? Okay, well, my AD had a lot of faith in me, but I was not taught how to teach culture, how to deal with these interpersonal relationships, how to help develop leaders on my team. I knew how to coach volleyball, kind of, right? And there's a lot of resources on that. And I assume that you are already doing that. I'm not here to tell you how to coach your specific sport at all, but that's not the hardest part of coaching. Put a yes in the chat if you're like, no, I can coach how to do how to swing block, how to pass, how to set up plays. But the hardest part of coaching is managing the emotions. The hardest part of coaching is how to get my athlete's head back in the game when they make a mistake. The hardest part of coaching is, why did we lose to that team that we shouldn't have lost to last night? Yeah, exactly. It's like that. Those are the things that they're like, yeah, and that, like the most important part of coaching. So yeah, that, and that's why you're here. And honestly, I was tired as well of watching my team lose games due to mental errors, crumble under pressure, not show up in these big moments. I'll tell you, I thought I was going to get fired because 2 years in a row, I had these like the super talented team. They're like college commits, and we couldn't get out of the game to go to state. Like we would lose. We lost 2 years in a row in this like winner to state, loser out match that we should have won in this like epic failure, right? Like reverse sweep, if you know volleyball, where we just crumbled. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is repeating, and it's not my athletes. It's probably me. Like I need to look at my coaching and realize where are the gaps. And the gaps weren't in the physical training. We trained really well. Our practices are very well structured and designed. They're getting the physical reps. They're playing club. Like they're very talented. Okay. The problem is that when they get in these moments, they can't execute. So I went back to become a mental performance coach to learn how to teach these skills to my team. Here's the thing. You do not need to be a mental performance coach or be a sports psychologist in order to teach skills like this to your team. That's why you're here at the bootcamp. We have tons of resources for you. We're going to talk about it all so that you can be implementing these into your team. So don't think like, oh, well, I got to go like spend more time, more money to do all that. No, you don't. This is why we do what we do. This is why we have founded this company. Okay. But I hear this from you as well. Give me a yes in the chat. And this might sound familiar from last night if you came, but give me a yes in the chat if this sounds like you. We have so much talent, but it feels like they're just a group of individuals, not a team. And the little cliques and drama are killing us. Okay. Some of you already said this right off the bat. You're like, gosh, these little like side conversations. Absolutely. How about this one? I spend more time managing emotions about playing time than actually coaching. Give me a yes in the chat if that's you. And maybe it's not just playing time. Maybe it's just like the general emotions of the sport. You're like, oh, this girl's going through something and that girl's going through something. And it's like, man, I feel like more like a therapist than I do a coach. How about this one? We have leaders, but they're not actually leading. Some players want the title, but not the responsibility. Others would be great leaders, but they don't step up. Yeah, exactly. You're like, it's just the girl that's the loudest that everyone is following, or the girl that's like not making good choices, but she's like has a super magnetic personality. So everybody's doing what she's doing for sure. Some players shut down after a mistake. Okay, get in their heads. And then the whole team's energy is shifting, right? You're like spending time, like this girl's spiraling out there. She's the person who talent wise should be out there, but now I've got to put her on the bench, put somebody else in who doesn't have as much capability. And now I'm spending my time on the bench trying to like coach her to get her head back in the game. And that can be, upwards of like half the match or more. Yeah, exactly. How about this? I want that extra edge that's going to help separate us when it matters. Give me a yes if that's you. If you're like, I do have a talented team. And even if you quote unquote don't, if you're like in a building year, okay, you're like, I know what I've got in front of me and I need a secret sauce. Okay, because from being a 4-time state champ coach, we just won our fourth consecutive state championship this past fall. Once you get to state and once you get to that postseason, all the teams are good. That what separates your team from another team is not necessarily the talent. It is how are they managing the moment? What are they doing? How fast are they getting over a mistake? If your team takes, an hour, well, we'll not say an hour, but some athletes do. If your team takes like 10 minutes to get over a mistake, but the other team is taking 3 seconds, I'm going to tell you right now which team is probably going to win. Okay. And so you want that extra edge that's going to put you ahead. Yeah. Hi, Julie. I didn't see you in here. Welcome. All right. Well, I feel you because I used to be in the exact same spot. I felt it all. I've dealt with it all. And I know that you're in this place of like, well, how do I help with everything else on my plate? I don't have a lot of extra time. I know this side of the game is important, but like, I feel like I'm just at capacity right now. Okay. Totally get that. And most coaches, when they're in this place, get it wrong by going back to the physical training. Now I get it. I've had all sorts of different like skill level of teams as well. And it's like, yeah, at some point, like we do just have to get back to like the physical training. Like we can't pass a ball. So we need to like train that, of course, but just overemphasizing that and not actually taking a look at the mental aspect or your culture of what might be contributing to them not playing to their potential is not actually going to get them there. Okay, forcing team bonding that is short-lived, right? I've done all the team bondings, the ropes courses, the scavenger hunts, the trust falls, the axe throwing, like you name it, we probably have done it. We've done some pretty cool team bonding things, but these aren't the things that are actually going to help them in those moments bounce back quicker from a mistake. right? Yeah, it's short-lived. It's fun. Athletes do like create some connection with each other, but these aren't the things that are going to help them when it's game on the line, state championship, going back to serve. Like, what are they saying in their head? Like the trust falls and the ropes courses aren't actually helping in that moment. Okay. Or just this is what I did for many years, just defaulting to doing nothing and hoping chemistry just happens on its own. You're like, I'm just gonna like see what happens. And then at the end of the year, you're like, oh, that ended up okay. Or, oh, that wasn't very good. And you don't really know how to replicate it if it went well. And if it didn't go well, you're still kind of stuck at square one. All right. So that's exactly why we created the championship culture method. This is what we're going to be breaking down all of this week. This is the solution that I've used to coach my high school volleyball team to 4 state championships without adding a ton of extra time to my already overflowing plates. Like we have so many things. I don't even need to go into it. Like the transportation request, the med kit, gosh, there's so much. So this needs to be short. It needs to be impactful. It needs to be doable. Right? So step 1 to this is the chemistry code, eliminating cliques and creating team unity. Like I said, we're going to go over right now why this probably is not happening organically. And tell me in the chat, like, just let me know as we go. Like, does this sound accurate? Is this what's happening on your team? Okay, I already talked about this. Random team bonding isn't working. It's fun, but it's actually not getting the results that you want on the court when it comes to performance or the field. I know there's a lot of sports represented, okay? Wherever you compete, okay? It's not happening organically because this random team bonding that we do actually isn't getting the results. It's inconsistent connection. All right. Inconsistent. We do it like, every other week. And then it's like a big thing that you have to plan as well. It's like adding more time and it's this big event for team bonding, but it's super inconsistent. Okay. Lack of trust equals lack of communication. I saw some people in the chat that were like, they're not communicating on the court. Okay. We can probably pull that thread back to a lack of trust with your team. All right. Managing emotions is exhausting. We've already talked about that. And there's barely any time. Okay. This is why team chemistry likely isn't happening just organically, and why just hoping that it happens is probably not a good recipe to make it happen. If you're following along in our playbook, so if you downloaded the playbook, if you're a note taker, you can take that out now. You can also just, take notes however you want. But yeah, I hear you, Kat. The number one factor that impacts team chemistry, I'm saying this because this is in your playbook, is psychological safety. Okay. Number one factor that impacts team chemistry is psychological safety. Okay. What is psychological safety? Daniel Coyle, if you haven't read his book, the Culture Code, to look at my bookshelf over here, is a really great resource for this. But the most cohesive teams aren't more talented. They're just safer. Okay. Most cohesive teams, they're not actually more talented. They're safer. And what this means is that, especially when it comes, I know we have athletes or we have coaches that are coaching not just girl sports, but boy sports as well. But especially when it comes to girl sports, their brains are wired for connection and for trust and relationship. And so psychological safety means, do I belong here? Am I accepted here? Am I free to be myself? Can I trust the person next to me? That is psychological safety. And that is the number one factor that impacts team chemistry and your players' ability to show up and thrive. Okay. Now, how do we do this though? How do we create psychological safety? Okay. When players can see each other as people, everything changes. Not just like what you can do on the court or the field, whatever, when they see each other as people. Okay. This is in your workbook as well. If you want to create safety, you have to create a safe space to be vulnerable. Nicole, relationships. Okay. Now, this might sound like a lot. You're like, yeah, I've heard this before. How do we do this? Okay. So let's break this down a little bit further. Brene Brown, one of my besties, she follows me on Instagram. Okay. The second part is true. The first part is me just hoping that she one day will be my best friend. But she says this: trust is built in very small moments. Trust is built in very small moments. So thinking of this as like, oh, we got to do this big thing. No, trust is actually built in very small moments. I'm going to teach you one simple strategy that you can do with your team to build this trust in small moments. But I am curious, as you're listening to this, Okay. Go ahead and put in the chat. How are you already building trust on your team? And if you're like, I'm not, like, to be honest, I'm just coaching and I'm trying to keep my head above water and we're not doing any of this stuff. That's totally fine. You're absolutely in the right place. But maybe you are thinking like, oh, okay, like there are some things that I'm doing to try and build trust. And it's okay if you're like, well, it is team bonding. It is team dinners. That's fine. Okay. Listening when they speak. I love that. Following up with what I say, what I'm going to do. Oh, I like that. Share fears. Yeah, Julie. So we're going to talk about that. Julie, you have a little extra context though, because you know what? You've been through our program. So modeling with my kids, taking each interaction as opportunity to reinforce it. Nice. Question of the day. Yes, Shannon, you're onto something there. Reach out to each kid personally. Oh, wow. That's awesome, Casey. Asking them to be vulnerable with each other, short and long-term goals. Yeah, which is tough. It's easier said than done. It's easy to be like, you got to be vulnerable with each other. It's harder to actually do that. Team devotions. Interesting. Love that. Okay. Vulnerability talks, but not always listening. Yeah. Okay. These are good. These are great. I knew we had the right coaches in here. Yeah. Okay, Carlton. You got it there. All right. Yeah, being vulnerable as a coach, it really does start with us. Okay. So the open circle method, this is what you can take and start implementing with your team. Throughout this whole bootcamp, my goal is to give you little short things that you can be implementing, not just theory, but things that you can be like, oh, I can actually add this into my program, whether you're in the off season right now and you're like planning for season, or you are actually in the thick of it right now and you're like, oh, I can incorporate this. So the open circle method is a really structured and consistent approach to building team chemistry. And it looks like some of you are doing this. Joel, yes, I'm going to talk about that in a second. But this is a structured way that you can actually be doing this with your team. Here are the structures and the norms of the open circle method. This is something that you do. We do this once a week. Okay. Once a week, we get our team together and it is time well spent. This takes about 10 minutes. We usually do this on a Friday if I'm in season. Okay. So in season, it's Friday, either before or after practice. We do like a shorter practice on Fridays. We do just serving and passing. And we do this once a week. Okay. I love these ideas. See, this is what I'm talking about in the chat, coaches. I hope you're like screenshotting some of these ideas because you're learning from each other as well. Okay. So it's held once a week, 15 minutes or less. These have to be quick. Coach models first. So Joel nailed it. Okay. I'm going to give you some prompts and some things that we do. But coach, you are the one that needs to model it. This isn't something that you're like, you guys do this and I'm not. Okay. Everyone participates. No one interrupts. You know, you can have your talking stick or whatever to pass around. Confidential. What stays in the circle, what's said in the circle stays in the circle. No fixing or judging. Okay, so if you are taking notes in our playbook, you can write all of those things down if you'd like. The replay will also be up on YouTube after. We'll send that to you. Okay, now the format. Open circle. So we're getting your team together. Okay, we do this in just our smaller. I coach a program of 3 to 4 teams depending on the season, but I just do this with I'm just with my varsity team, and then the JV coach, C team coach, and the freshman coach do it as well with their teams. You can vary this from week to week if you want to just do like a think, pair, share. If you want to do small groups, so groups of 3 you're sharing, or the larger group. It's very powerful in the larger group so that everyone can hear from each other. But if you're doing it in the small groups or with pairs, like groups of 3 or groups of 2, it's just really important that you're mixing up who is sharing. Okay. Discussion things. I saw some of this in the chat. It can be as simple as a question of the day. I do this way in the off season, a little bit lighter in the off season. So we do open gyms right now about 2 times a week. Athletes are coming in. I get them together. We do a little circle, and we're just giving a question of the day, and they're pretty light. You know, you can go from like not really vulnerable all the way down to more vulnerable, but it's just a way for them to see them as people outside of their sport. Okay. Roses and thorns is another great one. Okay. What's a highlight, low light of the week? So they're sharing. And then, like Joel said, hero, hardship, highlight. Okay. This one gets deep. So you can choose to do this. Basically, what this means is athletes are sharing somebody in their life that has been impactful to them. Okay, so their hero. Hardship, something that they have gone through that they feel comfortable sharing with the group that has been tough, and then a highlight that they are proud of, something that they're proud of. And this can be super broad, but I would give a disclaimer. And this is where you can model as a coach on what you're sharing. Okay. Because you don't want to get into a situation as a coach where you're like, okay, well, we are mandatory reporters and now we've got to report this. Okay. So make sure that when you're sharing this as a coach and you're modeling what it looks like to share your hero, hardship, and highlight, that you're sharing something that would be appropriate for coaches, for your athletes to model. Okay. So these are, and you're like, oh, it could be as simple as this. Yes. It can be as simple as this, all right? Because when athletes see each other for more than just people, okay, and this is one little small thing where we can build that trust through these daily interactions, like Brene Brown said, okay, like Daniel Coyle says, how we know that chemistry is created intentionally. There's a lot of other different ways, but I found that this is something that I can stick to that is easy and consistent, and the girls actually look forward to it. The hero hardship highlight is tough. I will say as a coach, sometimes it is tough for me to like be vulnerable and, you know, hold space for my athletes who are sharing things. Okay. But when I do this, we have our end of season surveys, and the last season that I did really leaned into the hero hardship highlight. I asked like, what was your favorite part of the season? And I was so surprised. I was like, we won state, everybody. And they said, my favorite part of the season was the hero hardship highlights that we would do on Fridays. I'm like, oh, it wasn't like winning our third state championship. So like this stuff really does matter. And when done correctly and done in a safe way, it really does build that trust so that now when we're on the court, it's not like, you know, I don't know you. And it's not necessarily I don't know you, but now it's like I see you for more than just a player. Okay. Rose and Thorns. Oh yeah. Sorry. Rose and Thorns, like highlight of your day or your week, and then low light of your day or your week. So it's similar, but it's a little more surfacey. Okay. So I rotate through some of these things. I'm going to give you on this next slide, you can take a screenshot or take a picture. Okay. Here are some example questions. Okay. Some questions that you can do if you want to do this as a question of the day format, in groups of 3, things like that. These are just examples. You can go anywhere with your questions, but also incorporating in some questions around your team. Like, how is the health of our team? And so that's where some of these, you know, have you stepped up as a leader this week? Do you feel like your voice is heard on this team? Is there any tension or conflict that we need to clear up? Okay. When things are festering on your team, you typically hear about them. For me as a coach, I hear about them and I'm like, I wish I would have known about this like weeks ago, you know, and we could have like nipped this in the bud. No, but now it's like this big thing and people are mad at each other. And now my setter is not setting this person because this person, you know, side-eyed her in the hallway, or, you know, like you're like, oh my gosh. And so when we have systems in place where we are constantly looking at the health of our team and asking the questions, like, is there anything that we need to address that's going to hurt the success of our team? And this is just becoming ingrained, right? And it's just part of your culture. Now we can grab those things before they turn into big monsters and like totally wreck your team. Yeah, tough Thursdays and thankful Thursdays. Oh, that's cool, Carlton. I like that. Everyone talks about their challenges on Tuesdays and what they're grateful for on Thursdays. Yeah. Now, like I said, there's a lot. Hopefully we got these questions in there. Okay. There's a lot to this, but I do want to remind you of this. Maybe this isn't a reminder, but more you're hearing for this for the first time. The more confident athletes are, the less likely they are to tear other people down. If you're like, gosh, there's so much drama and like, why, like jealousy and all of this. And, you know, we're going to start doing the open circle method, but, you know, I'm just wondering if like this player is really going to buy into that. Right now, this is in your workbook, okay? The more confident athletes are, the less likely they are to tear others down. Let me know in the chat if this is also true for you. The athlete that typically creates the most drama on your team is sometimes the most insecure. Okay, the athlete that creates the most drama on your team and creates kind of the problems is typically the one that's the most insecure about themselves. Yeah. It's typically the one that is like, she's beating herself up. And so she's got to tear other people down in order to make herself feel better, or themselves. Okay. Like the whole hurt people. Okay. It is absolutely true. Okay. And so teaching confidence starts with mental skills. Right. We're going to weave in throughout this week, and especially on Thursday, on the last day, we're going to talk specifically about mental training skills that you can be teaching your team. Because when your team has mental training skills, meaning they have the ability to like shift their self-talk from being negative to being neutral or positive. Okay. When they are more confident in themselves, you know, confident people who are enjoying their sport, enjoying life, don't tear down other people. They just don't do that. Okay. They're happy for other people. That's just in order to develop that in your individual athletes, these are skills that can be taught. These are skills that can be practiced, right? Through intentional shifting of their self-talk, through visualization, all of these things. And we're going to show on Thursday how you can do this in your program. I do it 5 minutes a day. Okay. Yeah, Lexi, like this. Also have the most rigid in how they view the world. Absolutely. So teaching confidence is time well spent, and it actually can be done in less time than you think. Okay. Again, just kind of baked into your culture. So the open circle method is great because it's a very structured approach to making sure that you have these things on a regular cadence in your program. Okay. But teaching confidence through mental skills is time well spent because the confident athletes typically don't start the drama. Okay, so we're going to try and develop that in your players, and it's totally possible. All right, your action for day 1. I want you to respond to this. You can actually, where you're going to respond to this is actually on our YouTube channel. That's where our community is hosted for this week. So action for day 1, what are you already doing to create open sharing on your team? And there were a lot of great ideas in the chat. And how can you incorporate the open circle meeting? Okay, how are you going to? Are you like, oh, I think I can do this? That's what I want you to respond with. Before I move any further, though, we've had some awesome engagement in the chat, and I'm going to buy somebody coffee. So let's see here. I'm going to scroll up right now. Let's see. Sorry, I had to find my chat. Okay. Kelly Hall. You have been participating in the chat. Congratulations. Our team will reach out to you. You've got your next coffee is on us. Okay. Thanks for participating in the chat and for being here. Kelly Hall, are you still here? Yes. Oh, there she is. Yep. Okay. Kelly, shoot us over your email just to make sure that we have your correct email. We'll send you a Starbucks card. Yeah, cool. Okay, this is where you are going to do your action for today. This is our YouTube channel. So you will be clicking on the video from today. It'll be posted shortly, and you're just going to respond to that action item in the comments there. Okay, that's where our coaches are. Also, if you have questions, if you're like, how do we actually implement this? Or here's a question that I have, like anything around this, post your questions there in the comment section. I will be in there answering. That's where I'm going to be doing most of my coaching. Our coaches will be in there as well. Other coaches comment on each other's stuff with ideas of what's working, what's not working, how you've done this, because there's so much power in the community that we have right here. Okay, I already did that. Okay, now a couple of other housekeeping things before we wrap up for today. Bookmark this page. All right. Abby will put this link in the chat. This is our welcome page. This is where you can find our daily schedule. Tomorrow we are going to be, we're talking about role clarity and some things around that that's super important, but you can find our daily schedule. You can add all of the events to your calendar so you don't miss anything. It's also got your playbook on there, giveaway stuff. Speaking of giveaway and playbook, right? Your playbook is on that welcome page. It's also in the emails that we've been sending. And we're giving away a little coach survival kit. So those of you that are participating in the challenge or in the bootcamp this week, we have a little raffle giveaway. So in order to earn raffle tickets, this is on your welcome page and also in your confirmation or in your emails that you're getting. You just click on the button and there's little actions. It reminds me of, okay, so yes, I love crumble cookie. Oh, sorry, some confession here. I know it's not healthy, but anyways, when I joined Crumble, they had this little like, hey, to get more Crumble points, you're gonna like follow us on Instagram and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yes, give me $10 of Crumble cash. Okay, that's what we have for you. So you have just little actions that you can do. Every action that you do gets you a raffle ticket. And we are giving away a coach survival kit. We're giving you $75 to Lululemon, Amazon gift card, a Starbucks gift card, and then we're giving you Wolfpack by Abby Wambach. This is a great book. I actually did this study with my team a few years ago. So make sure that you do your raffle entries. You get a raffle entry for commenting on for your action today in the comments thread. You get a point for that. You get a raffle ticket for that. So make sure that you do that. Another little housekeeping thing today at noon Pacific, 2 Central, 3 Eastern. If you would like, I would love for you to join me. We're going to do a little visualization. Now, visualization is a really simple skill that well, it's not even a skill. It's just it's a simple thing that I do with my athletes that really helps them. We've had a lot of athletes report that like visualization and having them kind of mentally reset is very useful to their performance. And we're going to do a little visualization together at 12. It's only going to be about 10 minutes. Your video will be off, all the things. I won't be able to see you. But basically, I just want to show you what visualization looks like, what it sounds like. I want you to experience it as a coach, because if you do start incorporating this with your team, I want you to know what it feels like. And we'll talk about all the things around visualization. You don't actually have to. It's easier than you think. Okay. So join me today. We're actually gonna be doing this every day, Monday through Thursday. You just come on, like take a 10-minute break in your day to join me. Right. Okay, last little thing. Well, almost last little thing. Our program, Plug and Play Elite Mental Game for Teams, we are giving away one scholarship for our program for a boot camp participant. So if you are interested in a free opportunity to get this program. This is our signature mental training program for teams. It's literally plug and play. You get your team together, you play a short video from me. They're between 3 and 10 minutes long. You lead a short discussion afterwards. Bada bing, bada boom, and your team is using these skills in their games and in their practices. So if you want to apply for a scholarship for this to get free access, those applications are open until Wednesday. So all of this information is on that welcome page. Okay. Yeah. Hey, Jewel. So yeah, if you were late today, all of these will be recorded and we'll send out the replay shortly. Once it gets uploaded, we'll put it on our YouTube channel. Okay. All right. Tomorrow we are talking about the role clarity blueprint for day number 2. This is how to get your players to own their impact and love their role. There's one shift that I started to make around role clarity about 4 years ago that has made a big difference. And honestly, it happened after I'm going to be vulnerable here again, okay? Because I'm not perfect. I had 2 girls quit my team 3 years ago. Never had anyone quit ever. And I was like, that quote, never be an athlete's last coach. I was like, dang, I was that. Now, as much as I could, like, there's a long story, but I really did have to look at myself again and be like, yeah, there's a lot that was on them, but also on me. And so I'm going to talk about one shift. There were kind of a few things that I shifted, but this one thing that made a big difference moving forward after that. So, all those things are a learning opportunity. Okay, I'm going to show you one thing real quick before you hop off. So this is our YouTube channel. I'm seeing some questions about it. So this is our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, all those things. And our replay will be posted here. So this is our kickoff last night. Okay. And actually, I'm going to give another little coffee giveaway. Let's see who's been commenting on this. This is where you will comment down here for your action. So every day we'll have an action. You'll comment on that video's day for your action. So yesterday was introducing yourself. Let's see here. Holly, we're giving you a little gift card as well for Starbucks. Your next coffee is on us. So that is where you will go to watch the replay, to do your action. You can also watch some of our other quick tips on there as well. Okay. All right, everybody. That is it for today. I'm excited to hear your takeaways. I'm excited to kind of read, like, what are you already doing to create connection and culture on your team? What do you think about the open circle method? Are you going to try and do that? Let's go. Yeah. All right, everyone. I'll see you today if you're coming to the visualization. 12 p.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. And I'll see you in the comment section. I'll be coaching in there. And I'll also see you tomorrow for day 2. All right. See you later, everybody.